Hey y'all, Big Tim here. Thanks for tuning in for the number 8 in the Truth Behind the Trophy series. This one comes to you from Herrington Lake in central Kentucky in 2013. April of 2013 to be exact. And I don't have a trophy for you. I don't know what happened to that trophy. I don't have it. I should have it. I thought I had one for that one. Oh well. But anyway, Herrington Lake. This is one of those weird deals. With the weather being the way it was, there had been some rain, there had been some cold, and I was also working on a job that I couldn't leave. So I didn't get an opportunity to practice. And while I've fished Herrington before, I'm not thoroughly as knowledgeable on it as I would be Cumberland or Green or Barron or any of those lakes. I've fished it before, but I don't have a ton of experience on it. And I was really unsure how I was going to do this if I didn't have an opportunity to practice and didn't have the experience on it. So remember our old friend Richie. I'd given him a call because he had done well there in one of the club tournaments that he had. And so I called and asked him for some advice on what to do, and he gave me some pretty specifics. I won't get into that because it's not my information to give. This came from Richie, so I can't lay that on you. But he did give me a pretty specific spot. Now, in this specific spot, I may have gotten it mixed up a little bit because his co-angler for that time was there as well, and he was fishing in a little different area. But Joey and I rode down together on Friday night after we both got off work. Went to the meeting and drew our partners. Now, I drew a guy that I'd always had chit-chat with. His name was Frank. And Frank was really a good guy. I would always wanted to fish with him. I've gotten to hang out with him. He was on our state team in 2012 when we were at Okeechobee. And just really solid guy. About my age, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger, just real close, give or take 5 years. And I knew we were going to get along well. And this was a great opportunity for us to get out. It's rare that Frank would go as a non-boater, but for some reason this time he did. I think maybe one of his boys was going to use the boat and Frank was going to go as a non-boater. But I was really thrilled to have Frank. I knew we were going to have a good time. If we caught a few fish, it was going to be even better. At the meeting, a lot of people were talking about how poor the fishing had been during practice. And, a lot of people will say Herrington is a tough lake to fish, but it is really loaded with fish. If you hit it right and you have a good idea of what to do, you can really catch a lot of fish and a lot of big fish. It's really one of those unknown gems. It's a difficult place to fish because of all the idle zones, and it's not a place to go in the summertime because you'll get beat to death with boat traffic. But there are a lot of fish there. There's a lot of quality, and it can be a good place to go and have a good time. But this particular trip, like I said, people were complaining that the fishing wasn't very good. So that was another reason I didn't practice. Plus, I had Richie to lean on. So, come the morning for blast off, the only thing I'm going to do is go do what Richie told me to do. So I run to the little spot that he's told me to fish, and I'd love to be able to share it with you, but like I said, this is Richie's information. But I go to his little spot, and I'm thinking it's pretty tough, so I'm going to start with my baby brush hog and a shaky head. That's all I had out. Didn't have any crankbaits out. I did have a spinnerbait out. I've almost always got a spinnerbait, even though I didn't have a lot of confidence in it at that particular time. So we're fishing around there, and like I said, Richie's co-angler is down the bank a little way, and I could see him. Now, he's a non-boater in this tournament too, but you can guarantee you that he was telling the guy, hey man, we caught some hogs, because when he and Richie had gone to this tournament, I think they caught a 6 and a 5 and filled out the rest of their limit in this little spot. So, not only was it a good spot for numbers, it was a good spot for big fish. So Frank and I fished there for about 4 or 5 hours. and I did luck into one big fish. I had it by the shaky head. Matter of fact, I caught 2 keepers on the shaky head. I was using green pumpkin shaky head with, I think it was a 1/4 ounce weight right there, because it is a fairly deeper spot and levels out a little bit. But a green pumpkin shaky head. And like I said, I had the one that was 4.5, somewhere in there. And I had another one that was just a keeper. So after going back and forth over that bank for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, maybe 5, we didn't have anything going on. Nothing else was biting, so we decided to move. We tried a few coves. We tried a few different spots, and it just wasn't happening. And like an hour and a half before weigh-in, we go to a particular cove, and it's a small cove, not very long at all. And inside the first 50 feet of the cove, I'm throwing a little smallie beaver. Green pumpkin again, 1/4 ounce weight. And inside the first 50 feet of the pocket, I catch one. And it's a good keeper, not huge, but a good 1.5-pound keeper. I thought, well, this is pretty cool. Maybe there'll be a bunch more in here. So we fish the whole cove. Don't get any more bites until the last 50 feet of the other side of the cove. And I get another bite. Set the hook, get it in. It's another 1.5-pound fish. So now I've got 4 fish. I'm figuring I got about 8 pounds or something. And I think now I know what I need to do. And if I can hit enough pockets, I'll find that 5th keeper and maybe even some bigger ones. So I'm really excited. I think I know exactly what I need to do to catch a limit and maybe win this tournament. So I go and try a couple more pockets, and it's not working there. I've got like 45 minutes left, and we run into some of our friends. They're broken down and they're waving us over. And of course, you see somebody waving, you know you got to pull over. And my eyes are pretty good, but from a distance, you know, you can't tell if they're somebody you know or not. But in this particular instance, I could recognize the boat, and it was our old buddy Chad that we'd fished with at Maysville. And looked like Chad was broken down. So I'm pulling over and I'm thinking, okay, what do we need to do here? Maybe give him a jump start. But what they wanted to do was have us take their fish in, because they were in early flight. We were in a later flight. I was like, okay, we'll take your fish in. Chad's partner jumped in my boat with the fish, and we took them to weigh-in. Now, like I said, I've still got some time left, and I think I know what I need to do to catch my 5th keeper. But I got to get this guy in. I got to get him to weigh-in. So I'm driving the boat down to weigh-in, and I'm kicking myself. I'm like, man, I'm blowing this tournament. I mean, I'm doing the right thing. I know in my mind I'm doing the right thing. In my heart, I'm doing the right thing picking these guys up. But I'm thinking, you know, it's very rare that you have an opportunity to win. And it's very rare that you think you know exactly what you need to do to win. It just doesn't happen very often. This time I had that feeling, and it was a gut feeling. I knew what I needed to do to win. All I needed to do was catch one more fish and maybe call one time. But we had to go to weigh-in. Now, I could have dropped him off right there at the weigh-in and maybe fished for another 15 minutes. But we were there, figured we'd go ahead and pull out. I weigh my fish in, and I'm surprised to find out that my fish weighed 9.84. So I was real surprised about that. I didn't have big fish because another one of my friends came in with a 6-pounder. Like I said, Herrington has some big fish in it. But I had 9.84, and I just kept waiting. I'm sitting on this rock, and I'm just beating myself up. Man, I knew what I needed to do to catch one more. I could have sealed the deal on this tournament. Well, after everybody weighed in, I was amazed to find out that my 4 fish for 9.84 actually won. And I was just elated, you know. Here I am thinking I've blown this thing by doing the right thing, by picking these guys up, which is the right thing to do. But in this particular instance, it might not have been the wisest thing to do to win the tournament. But we did. So I felt elated. You know, that's the best word to describe it. A lot of fun coming home. And again, you know, I always have those feelings of faith again. And here it is again. I'm thinking, you know, here it is. God just gives me barely what I need to get by. I think second place had like 970. I just barely scraped by. And again, you just got to have faith sometimes. But it was a great trip. A lot of fun. A lot of fun to be with Frank. A lot of fun to, you know, ride down and ride back with Joey. We always have a blast. Just a really good tournament. I really hope you enjoyed this tournament from Herrington. Like I said, it was a little different. Tune in next time. Number 9 is coming to you from Craig's Creek on the Ohio River. Now, we're going to skip a couple years because there were a couple years there that Big T was having a little tougher time. But we finally got back on the winning track in 2013. We'll talk about that one then. And that one's really different. You'll be surprised. We had to overcome an injury. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you the next time.